Hey everybody, off the Mike Sports Network here. Thursday night football, and it's almost fitting now that the man who once called it a poop fest is now analyzing games on the pre and post show for Amazon Prime. Um, the Broncos beat the Raiders 10-7. Yes, you heard me right. There was only 17 points scored in this game. The Broncos win 10-7 over a really bad Raiders team that just traded their their number one wide receiver, although their best receivers, their tight end Brock Bowers, but um, this team's a mess. And the Broncos, if you look at their record, they're 8-2 now. The Denver Broncos are 8-2. But I'm here to tell you guys, and I don't usually throw this out very often. Because most often, these records are earned, especially in the National Football League. This team is grade A Fugazi. Grade A Fugazi. This is the worst 8-2 football team that I have ever seen in my entire life. Let me illustrate my point here for a second. So this team started the season 1-2. They lost their second and their third game. They lost at the Colts, at the Chargers, two of the best teams in the league. So two of the best teams in the league that they played this year, they lost to. They beat the Titans, who are one of the worst teams in football and have already fired their head coach first game of the year. Beat them by 8 points. They beat the Cincinnati Bengals, who didn't have Joe Burrow. Jake Browning, who's no longer the starting quarterback, they beat him by 25 points. Then, probably their most impressive win of the entire season, they went on the road to Philadelphia, but Philadelphia, it's been a weird season for the Eagles, and they go on the road, they beat the Eagles by 4. I'll give them that. Then, after that, they proceed to beat the New York Jets, who have won one football game this year, 13-11. 13-11 at home. The next week, they face the New York Giants. They're down by, I think, multiple scores in that game, need a miracle finish to win it 33-32 in a game that the Giants absolutely should have won. I had to cover that game for work, and I do not know how the Broncos won that football game. Then they beat the Cowboys. The Cowboys' defense is a joke. They scored 44 points. Congratulations. Last week, they beat the Houston Texans 18-15. The Texans kicked 5 field goals and had Davis Mills playing about half of that game because CJ Stroud got knocked out of the game. And then tonight, or depending on when you watch this, on Thursday night, they beat the I almost said Oakland, the Las Vegas Raiders 10-7. So they've got to face the Chiefs at home 10 days in a week and a half. They got the little mini bye. Then they've got Washington, Raiders, Packers, Jags, Chiefs, and Chargers to end the season. This team is probably going to the playoffs because out of those games right there, I think if you get to about 10 or 11 wins, they're already at 8. They're already at 8 wins. So the odds are they're probably going to be a playoff team. This is honestly has the makings of one of the weakest playoff teams that I've ever seen in all my years of watching the NFL. This team is not impressive in just about anything that they do. Their defense is all right. But, Bo Nix is thrown for under 2,000 yards, 61% completion rate. Like, I like Bo Nix. J.K. Dobbins has had a decent season, but, best receiver has under 600 yards. It's just nothing is really impressive about this team. And like I said, out of the 3 best teams that they've played this year, lost at the gun to Indianapolis. And then, they also, just going back to it, they lost on the road to the Chargers. So they lost close, but the teams that they've beaten haven't been overly impressive, or, they're not good teams that they've played. So, like I said, you're beating the Titans, you're beating the Bengals, you're beating the Jets, the Giants, the Cowboys. That's not impressive. And so they got 2 games against the Chiefs down the stretch. They play at Kansas City on Christmas. They still got Green Bay, even though I don't know what Green Bay is. I don't know what the Jags are. Again, this team looks like it's probably going to be a playoff team. And I am not impressed by them at all. I'm not. 10-7 over a Las Vegas Raiders team that is not trying to win right now. They just traded away their best receiver. and partially through I mean, maybe this was kind of a gift because Geno Smith has not played particularly well for the Raiders. Kenny Pickett gotten into this game. The Raiders are not good. Should have won this game by multiple scores. 10-7. 10-7. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, hold on. Let me look at this box score to kind of illustrate my point. So they scored a touchdown in the second quarter. The deciding field goal came in the third quarter of this game. Third quarter of this game, near the back half of it, and they held on for dear life at the end of this thing. It's just, that's not impressive. That's not impressive. And this team is going to skate by and get to the playoffs, more than likely, unless they completely fall on their face. They're probably at worst going to be a wild card team because it's going to take, to me, if they win 2 more games, they're going to the playoffs. It's really hard for me to see a team going 10-7 in the AFC and missing the playoffs. That means the AFC and the bar in the AFC is really high. There's just a lot of teams that are they're kind of mid. Like, Indianapolis really out of nowhere has kind of run roughshod in the South. Steelers and it's really going to be the Steelers and the Ravens who are going to be fighting it out in the North. I mean, the West is basically 3 teams: the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Broncos. And then, in the East, it's going to probably be the Patriots and the Bills fighting for that division. So I just don't see like the Broncos missing the playoffs. And my point of illustrating this is that this is honestly shaping up to be one of the worst playoff teams that I've ever seen. And there's been teams that have gotten in at 7-9 that I think might be better than this football team. Like 8-2, and you're skating by against a really weak schedule with a really pedestrian offense that doesn't produce on a consistent basis, with an offensive coach who's kind of a jackass. It's not easy to like and root for this team. And that being said, I like Bo Nix. I like his story. He hasn't been that impressive in year 2 when we're expecting him to take a leap. Yet we're going to look at the record here and we're going to be like, hey, this team is 8-2, one of the best records in the National Football League. But if you actually crunch the numbers and you actually look at their schedule and you look and see what they've done, I got to give credit to a Twitter account, Stabs on Twitter at TAS at capital S TABSS on Twitter. Put this out that the Broncos have beaten. I'll go through it again for those of you who are just tuning into this video. A Bengals team that is currently sitting 3-6. Jake Browning was the quarterback of that team. They just beat a 2-7 led Raiders team by just 3 points. 2-7 Geno Smith led Raiders team by 3. A 3-5 Texans team that had Davis Mills in the game because CJ Stroud was out. They only beat them by 3 points. 1-7 Justin Fields led Jets team 13-11. They beat them by 2 points in Denver. 2-7 Jackson Dart led Giants by 1 point in a game that they should have lost. They were getting killed in that game. And I think we're down by 16 points in the fourth quarter. And then a 1-8 Cam Ward rookie-led Titans team by 1 score, 20-12. And the Titans have already fired their head coach. I just gave you guys 6 games on their schedule that they have won. The Eagles game, I'll give them that. That was an impressive win on the road. Outside of that, what the fuck has this team done this year? Least impressive team that I've seen to this point in the season to have this kind of record, maybe in all my years of watching football. This team is so fugazi. Absolutely so fugazi. And I would not be surprised if they had a home game in the playoffs and got their doors blown off. This is not a good football team. Just not a good football team. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.